Maya, I'm gonna make a video about the Waco Wave Pool. What do you think?
Why?
Well, because I think it'll be helpful for other people to watch and see how they can do better at the pool and save some time and money.
The deal. You're a terrible surfer.
So are you.
Oh, yeah?
What's up, y'all? Theo from Where You Drove here. Alex and I just came back from the BSR Wave Pool over in Waco, Texas. And quite frankly, I was a little confused over my first experience there. Second time I did a little bit better. So I figured, hey, maybe I should put together a video explaining how the pool works. So maybe I can save some other people time and money trying to figure that out themselves. So this video is going to be split in two parts. First part, I'm going to go through the step-by-step of getting to the wave pool, how you set up, things you should bring, how you surf the wave, and so on. And then in the second part, I'm going to tell you some lessons learned, some stuff that I did that I wish I hadn't done or that I did wrong, so then maybe you can avoid those mistakes. Now, the wave pool is in Waco, Texas, and you're going to have a little bit of downtime between your sessions. So what you can do is check out the video I'm going to link below, where we go through some of the stuff you can do in Waco while you're hanging out there. So without further ado, let's get to the step-by-step. So on to the step-by-step. If you're flying in, you have two main options, Dallas and Austin. They're both around the same distance from Waco, and you'll need to rent a car either way. You're looking at just over 2 hours of driving from either airport, so plan accordingly. Now, there's not a lot going on around BSR, so definitely use GPS because it's kind of hard to find without it. Once you drive through the gate, just go straight on and you're going to find the parking lot, then walk across the little bridge and into the big building to check in. Try to get there about an hour before your session so you have plenty of time to get ready and to observe the wave. Don't overlook this detail. The shoulder of the wave is much shorter than the ocean, so you can't really read it like a normal ocean wave. That means you should watch the wave beforehand and more or less memorize its general pattern so you can act ahead of the wave. I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail later, but for now just keep in mind that you should get there early. The sessions usually start on the hour, and you'll have to check in at the wave operator house 10 minutes before your session. So when the time comes for your session, you'll be split into groups of 3. I went in April 2021, so they were limiting the sessions to 9 people. It doesn't really matter too much within your group. You may catch some extra waves as the surfers in the previous group keep following, but that's about it. Each group gets a turn on the peak, then paddles back, then waits beneath the peak, then back to the peak again. You keep this rotation going for 30 minutes on the right, then 30 minutes on the left. There are 3 waves per set. Just chat with the other surfers in your group before it's your turn so you know which wave you're supposed to take. Each wave the set is a little bit different, so make sure to try each of the waves. So let's say it's your group's turn. You'll each get in position and wait for the set. The lineup is a bit different for each wave in the set. If you're going on the first wave of the set, you want to sit farthest down from the peak. There are numbers written on the wall to help you line up. For the right, you want to be close to number 5 and about 5 feet from the wall. For the left, you want to be close to number 6 and about 5 feet from the wall. For the other 2 waves, try to be closer to the wall and further up the peak. Try to line up with number 4 on the right and number 5 on the left. You'll hear the machinery going and then a small little lump of water will fill up. That's your wave. Don't worry, it'll get bigger as you go. As the wave approaches, start paddling and keep in mind that you have to go diagonally to ride it properly. Some folks use the light post on the beach to guide their paddling, but I just went with my instincts and did just fine. Once you're on the wave, make sure to stay ahead of it a little bit. The curl is a little uneven, and it's easy to get caught behind if you don't keep your speed. I made that mistake a lot my first time out, so the second time I focused on keeping my speed through the turns and did much better. The wave can also be pretty wobbly from the wind and all the water moving around the pool, so try to stay sharp and quick on your feet. The first section is pretty soft, especially if you're on the first wave of the set, but then the wave hits a concrete shelf and really runs away. That's where the best barrels are, but keep in mind that it gets pretty shallow. On my first time out, I hit the bottom several times and got a few bruises, but on the second session I didn't hit it a single time. Go figure. After that shallow section, the wave goes into deeper water and fattens up, and that's your cue to get out of the wave. Once you're off the wave, stay close to the wall and take a ride from the little rip that forms there. It'll help you go back towards the peak. Paddle towards the peak and sit 20 or so feet down from the peak, right next to the wall and out of the way of the next group of surfers. When their set comes, you'll be on the shoulder and can catch the leftovers if anyone falls. Once the set is over, paddle across the peak and towards the shore to get to the waiting area. The waiting area is a little bit under the peak and off to the side, so you're not in the way of the other surfers. Once the next group of surfers has gotten their set, it's your group's time to paddle to the lineup and set up for your set. From there, you just repeat the process I described before. Lesson 1. Take a small wave performance board. Having watched some videos before I went, I was expecting the wave to be super hollow and hard to catch. So I took out this board, which is very rockered and narrow. When I started surfing, I realized that I really didn't need all that rocker, and that the wave wasn't all that hollow, so a flatter board would have been just fine. This board has a bit less rocker and more tail area, so it felt a lot easier to stay with the wave. Lesson 2. Be patient and keep your speed. It's very easy to get in your head and try to outsurf this wave. I did that in pretty much every wave in my first session, and that was a huge mistake. For my second session, I focused on keeping my speed through the turns and pacing myself, and had a lot more fun. On that note, keep in mind that it's possible to get a little barrel right after the takeoff, but the best barrels are on the concrete shelf later down the line. Lesson 3. Plan ahead. Call ahead and get information on the conditions so you can bring the right gear and wax. In the spring, you may need a wetsuit and wax for water in the 60s, but in the summer you could be dealing with water in the 80s. Lesson 4. Schedule at least 2 sessions. One of my big mistakes was to only schedule 1 session at the pool. During your first session, you'll feel very out of sync with the wave, and you won't be able to read it since the shoulder is so short. You'll probably also have a bit of jitters from the feeling of needing to perform in very unusual conditions. So the best thing to do is to schedule at least 2 sessions with a break in between. That way, you can rest a bit, gather your thoughts, and go back out for a better session.
So that's it, everyone. That was my experience with the BSR wave pool in Waco, Texas. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please don't forget to drop a like below and to subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you next time.